Welcome back to Cooking with Bill. New Year's 2022. Okay, so to start out this new year, I thought I'd do a few things that I haven't done before. I'm going to do a pork belly, and what we're going to do is make basically a burnt ends out of a pork belly. Now, a true burnt end comes off of a brisket. You've seen my brisket videos. On the outside of a brisket, there's those nice little caramelized pieces. For people that really want a true burnt end, that's what you'd use, is a brisket. But to save some time, you could either use a chuck roast, or we're going to actually use a pork belly. Now, I went out to Costco, one of my favorite places locally to get it if you don't have a good butcher nearby. And I bought a large slab of a pork belly. Now the pork belly, you'll notice, has quite a nice fat cap on top. Nice piece of meat. Some people will just put it on the smoker with a little bit of dry rub and roast the whole thing until it's about ready to fall apart, then cut it up. But we're going to do the opposite. We're actually going to cut it up into cubes. We're going to season it. We're going to put it on the smoker at about 275 for probably 2.5 to 3 hours. After it's done, we're going to put a sauce on it, throw it back on the smoker for a little bit just to get that sauce to thicken up and to coat all the pieces, and we're good to go. So we've taken a pork belly, and I've already done half of it, so that's why it's so small, but we're going to cut it into inch segments. So all you're going to do is have a good nice sharp knife. You're going to cut down through this, and when you cut through, you're going to cut through that fat cap, and you're going to have a strip. Now we're going to do this all the way across this, but I'm not going to bore you watching that part. But we're going to take this and we're going to cut it into approximately 1-inch cubes, like this. We're going to throw it into our pot here. We're going to then liberally add a lot of dry rub to it, because I want to coat on all parts of that meat. So we'll take it like this. We're going to take a dry rub. Now take whatever dry rub you like. I happen to have found one that's pretty good. It's an all-American seasoning rub, pork barrel barbecue rub. It's not too bad, gluten-free if you care about that. Again, pick this up at Costco. But if you follow like the Meat Church, or you follow some of the other guys out there, they may have a rub that you really like to have. You're going to sit there and mix all this up. Get that seasoning across the entire pieces, all 4, 5, 6, 8 sides, whatever it is. Can't remember. And then once you get it on there like this, you're going to let it set for just a little bit so it adheres nicely. It'll draw some of that moisture out of the pork, and then you'll be ready to put it on the smoker. Now, whenever you're doing any cutting, you want to make sure your cutting board is separate from vegetable cutting boards. So when I take this, I'm going to make sure I really scrub it down good in case somebody uses it for vegetables. You always want to have your knives to be sharp as well. So now that we've got the rub on our meat, the meat's been sitting for a while, what we're going to do is we're going to take just a regular cooling rack like you use for breads and such, and we're going to stack up the cubes on this rack. Now you can do it fat up, you can do it fat down, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you the best. It really doesn't matter, although I always find if you put the fat on the top, it's going to render down through the meat, and sometimes that adds a little flavor to it, as opposed to just draining the fat out onto a pan. Now we're going to take this and put it on this rack, and the reason we're doing this is so that when we put it on the smoker, we don't have to arrange all these little pieces on our smoking grates. We can just have it on this piece as we have it here. Okay, so got everything cubed, got everything spiced. We're now going to put it on the smoker. We've got smoker at 275 degrees. Close it, set it, forget it. We'll check in about 2 hours, see how they're doing. Might have to spritz them a little bit, but other than that, we're just going to leave them right there. I fixed the microphone so hopefully you can hear me better. We're outside with the Traeger Smoker, 275 degrees, been about 2 hours. Put a meter thermometer in there. If you haven't tried those, they're really nice. And got the pork up to 200 degrees. So we're going to open up. So you can see we got the 2 trays going. Now I made 2 separate trays on purpose. I'm going to put one in a very mild barbecue sauce. So we've got a barbecue sauce with a little bit of honey, about 3/4 cup of barbecue sauce, about a tablespoon of honey. We're going to mix all of those pork goodness into that pan, put it back on, and let it heat for about 30 more minutes. So I got another pan over here. It's got barbecue sauce in it. Use whatever you like, but I added to it a ghost pepper honey. Again, a little bit more than a tablespoon of ghost pepper honey, just to add that kick to it, because I like really spicy, but my wife does not. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Okay, so we had the pork belly on for about 2.5 hours. It might take as much as 3, just depends on how the temperatures are outside. You want to make sure it's fork tender. Some people like it to break away quite a bit more, so again, cook it a little bit longer. Low and slow is always going to break down that meat and the fat to give you a really good taste. Now, since we've got this out here, again, I made a sweet for my wife, and then I made one that was a ghost pepper. And so we use ghost pepper, honey, and then we use a barbecue sauce. Again, look at the color, look at that sheen, it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm going to give it a try. Wow, doesn't get much better than this. So, great for use for an appetizer. You can make it for a meal as well. You know, throw some salad out or some broccoli or something with it. But it's a nice way to use a pork belly on your smoker and to make these nice little cubes. But there you have it, another one in the can for Cooking with Bill. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe and click the little bell so that you get notified when I do these videos. On Facebook, you can like it there, and you can give a thumbs up also on Instagram. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you back here in the kitchen.